You're listening to the Nacho Kids Podcast, where we discuss all things step family related. Real stories, real people, real help. Your hosts are the creators of the Nacho Kids Method and the Nacho Kids Academy Step Family Coaching Team, Lori and David Sims.
Today we have Crystal and Mike. Hey, Crystal and Mike, how are y'all?
Hi. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. So tell us a little bit about your blend.
Well, let's see. We'd been on the show before, so we've got my two children from my first marriage and two cats from this marriage.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Ours cats.
Yeah, ours cats. Yep.
Ours cat. Yeah.
Are they female or male?
One of each.
Oh, there you go.
One garbage cat that we got from a rescue, and then she had to have a fancy
Siamese cat.
Yeah.
Fancy cat and a trash cat.
Yeah, trash cat and fancy cat.
Is that their names?
Almost. The trash cat is named Tyrone, and the fancy cat is named Bubbles.
We let the kids name them.
Yeah, the kids named them.
It even has a fancy name.
She does. Yeah, she's spoiled.
Oh, goodness. How long ago was it that you were on our podcast? I can't remember right now. I'd have to go back and look.
We were talking about that too. It's at least a year, maybe even longer than that.
Probably a little more because neither kid had graduated at that point. Probably 2 years.
Okay, I'll have to go back and look and reference it.
It could be longer. Time just goes by. Once you hit 40, it's like you blink and you're 50. It's just time just means nothing.
Yeah. If I say the other day, it could actually be the other day or 10 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
And it's that way in my head, too. It's like,
Yeah.
All right. So you've got two step kids, right, Crystal?
Yes.
And how old are they?
We've got 17-year-old stepdaughter and we've got 19-year-old stepson.
And y'all have been blending for
9 years now.
Nice.
Oh, congratulations. Almost there.
Yeah. You're all figured out by now, right?
We did when they were younger. And then as they, now it's like we have one child who is like underachiever to a detriment and then overachiever to a detriment.
Yeah.
So like the trash cat. And
it's like completely opposite ends of the spectrum. So it's like trying to figure out how to balance that. What's the right thing to do to try to get somebody motivated? What's the right thing to do to try to get somebody a little unmotivated?
Down a little bit.
Calm down. So that's been the balancing act.
Yeah. I often wonder when you have that disparity if the one child that's not doing as well is like, you know what, I'm not competing. Like it's better for me to just go the opposite direction than to try to compete and lose.
It's almost the opposite because my son, the older one, is the one who doesn't. He's always been like that. Like he, when he turned 16, he had no desire to get a driver's license. Like we had to force him to try at 17, and he failed the first time he took the test because he just during a 3-point turn he nudged the curb, and it's an automatic fail. And they told him,
still does that.
Yeah, but they told him, look, if it wasn't for that, you would have passed. Come back tomorrow, you'll be fine. He didn't go back for over a year.
Yeah,
till he was like 18.
Yeah, and he pushed.
Yeah, my daughter, the day she could get her learner's permit, she was there. The summer when she was 15 years old, she went to summer school for driver's ed so she could get her driver's license certificate and turn it in the day she turned 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, today, I said, when I was 12, I was driving. It was like your parents were like, sit on my lap and you can drive or whatever.
I couldn't wait to get my driver's license.
I mean, it was like a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Yeah. My son could care less. He's had like 5 jobs in the last year. And my daughter has worked at the same job since she was 14.
Yep.
Wow. Night and day.
And again, she likes money. She likes making money. When she got her car, we told her, look, save $1,000 just to prove that you can put some money away and make car payments. She saved $2,000. My son, hey, you want to make it? No, I'm good. I'll just, he got a car. He inherited his grandma's old car when she passed away. And that's fine. He's okay. He goes, I don't need anything.
Yeah.
He'll be fine forever with that car.
Yep.
Yeah. That's interesting dynamic.
Isn't it funny that, because they're 2 years apart, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that they grew up in the same house and they are just complete opposite? My sisters and I are like that. It's like you would not think we were sisters.
Yeah, I think part of it is because they go back and forth, and my ex and myself are very different. I think my son has kind of gravitated towards how she is, and my daughter more towards how we are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we recently just moved. We needed a bigger house. You know, we had a 3-bedroom house. She works at home full time, and she was working in our bedroom. So we needed a 4th room for her home office. And I had told my son, he was 19, wouldn't get a job, wouldn't do anything. I said, look, when we move, you're 19 now, you don't do anything. You're going to have to go live with your mom full time. And my hope was, over there, it's not that great. Maybe he will be like, hey, I need to get my act together and start doing something. No. He moved. He went there full time. And her response to that was letting his girlfriend move in with them and giving them the master bedroom.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the same face I made.
Yes.
So he has no reason to do anything. Because,
Well, he's surely not coming back.
Oh, no. He's happy as a clam. And he just sits at home all day playing video games. He'll get a job and then something will happen and he'll lose the job, or she'll get a job and something will happen and she'll quit. And like I said, in the last year, he's had several different jobs. And for one reason or another, it's like, oh, well, they asked me to do this and I didn't want to do that. Or, or one time he was working with a friend and they said something that offended some other employee. They were talking to each other. And she told human resources and they let them both go. And it's just like, he can't catch a break, but he also doesn't want a break.
Yeah.
Right.
They expect me to be on time.
Yeah. I was going to say, I would say, what?
He has a little social anxiety, and that's what he kind of blames. And I'm kind of old school. To me, it's like, hey, your anxiety, rub some dirt on it, walk it off, you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to be a little more understanding about it and just like, look, start small, get a job at McDonald's, because it's like once he's at the place, he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the anxiety of going to the interview and then getting up and having to be there on time and stuff like that. And I'm like, you just have to kind of get used to it, once you do it for a while. But then again, he also does stuff like, oh, my girlfriend's birthday, I got to call in sick to take her out to dinner, and things like that.
Within the 90-day probation.
Yeah, within the first 90 days. And it's like,
that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So you just don't get a job near your girlfriend's birthday.
Yeah, exactly. So
you just quit the day before and then start a new job the day after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then you got Valentine's Day.
Well, see, that's why it's always easier to just break up with them right before Christmas and break up with them right before Valentine's Day.
Yeah. No, they're way too codependent to do that. Like I said,
they were living together in high school at Mom's house.
Yeah. She would stay in high school. She would stay over the night over there. And then when he would come over to our house, she would go back home.
Wow. I was so jealous of parents like your ex growing up because I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Then as an adult, you realize maybe that wasn't the greatest thing.
Not that cool.
Well, I think by the time I was old enough to drink, I knew that.
Yeah, that's crazy. You did bring up a point though. You said something to the effect of, y'all pretty much have things kind of figured out, and then they get older. I think it's very important to point out that there are different stages, and it's not just a blended family thing. There's just different stages within a family, and things change, and what was working now doesn't work, and you have to completely figure those things out again. And spoiler alert, it doesn't change when they get older.
Yeah, for sure. When I think about Nacho, so when we got together, I think I was nachoing without realizing it. The only reason I even sought out your program is because I don't have children, didn't know really how to live with a parent and kids. So I'm like, well, what's out there? What can I read about? So that's how I stumbled upon you guys and your method.
I think it was because of the macaroni and cheese in the bathtub.
There were some things.
Yeah.
And this is what's funny. I did not intentionally wear this shirt. I promise you.
Because the first thing I said to David was, oh, I don't have my nacho shirt on because we got these cool little nacho
and
shirts.
For those of you listening, she has a mac and cheese shirt on.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Cheese and thank you. Life is good.
But nacho for us was pretty easy when the kids are little. Not a problem. We were both on the same page about it. Both took the same approach where, dad is the biological parent and, the person who does most of the discipline and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just here for support. I was always good with that. Mm-hmm. It became challenging in the teenage years, really just for stepson, because there was a period there where we're living in a small house. Like Mike said, working I don't have an office because I didn't plan on working from home, but that's what it turned out. I ended up with a job with, some significant responsibility. the only space I had in that place, and we're not people who keep a bunch of stuff. We constantly get rid of things. So it's not like we have a hoarded house situation at all. We're pretty minimalistic, but the only space in the whole house was in the corner of the bedroom. So, we're in this tight little space. I can't really turn it off at night because I'm ready to go to sleep. And what I look up and see, my monitor screens, I think about work. So that's stressful. And living in a situation where teenage son getting involved in some shenanigans in school. He did some things where he couldn't go to public school anymore for a little while.
Well, I pulled him out.
Yeah, he was causing some trouble.
Yeah, him and his friends were, vaping in school and stuff. So like his last 6 months, I just said, look, you're just going to finish from home, because if not, you guys are just going to get kicked out anyway.
He wanted to make sure he graduates. But that
He's like, but mom doesn't care.
Yeah. Well, that put us in a situation where, working from home in this tight space, and then we've got stepson kind of not like really doing anything productive, hanging out in his room all day. If Michael was still living with us to this day, I had you guys on speed dial. I'm like, all right, I need to call Nacho Kids Academy and join, because that was the point where it got challenging for me, where I'm like, okay, I need to kind of stay out of it, because this is affecting me and like raising my frustration level. So it's really easy when the kids are little and pretty good and everything, but when it gets challenging, that's when it's like, okay, I might need some help here. But
because you're at home all day and you see little Johnny not doing what he's supposed to do as far as schoolwork or whatever, and he's playing games all day, and you're like, what do I do?
Yeah,
that's exactly it. It was video games all day, not even helping around the house, so it was a lot.
And for me, I was kind of stuck in the middle, because I'm like, okay, he's only 18, he just graduated, let me give him some time to get stuff figured out. And then it was like, okay, he's 19, and I
know people that are 40 still trying to figure it out.
And I was just like, hey, I was like, and I would try things like, I would say, look, in a month, I'm going to stop paying for your cell phone. Just little things. He's always on his cell phone. That's how he communicates with his girlfriend. And I said, just get a job and just pay me for your cell phone. That's all you have to do. Mm-hmm. And of course, there was, no job. And it's like, I can see her point. But then again, I don't want to be, like I feel like I'm giving up on him and just kicking him out. So it just got to the point where I was, we bought this new house. We didn't tell either kid we bought a new house. And so when we get
moved out the middle of the night.
Till we were about a month away from moving, and I kind of went to his room. I said, I got some good news and some bad news. I said, the good news is I'm going to keep paying for your cell phone. So the bad news is we're about to move, and
we're not telling you where we're going.
I said, this new house, we're going to have a home office and a guest room. And again, you're welcome to come and visit and come by any time. But I said, you're 19 years old. You're going to be 20. I said, I got to do something to try to get you motivated. And maybe just living with your mom full time and having to live over there, and again, she's not a bad mom. She's not a bad person. But I don't know how to say.
Permissive? Is that the word?
Well, yes, I'm trying to describe their living situation.
Okay.
It's a little more chaotic. Mm-hmm. Her and her boyfriend that she lives with, they would fight a lot. They would stress him out. So I'm like, so if he's over there and has to live with that all the time, maybe he'll be like, I got to get a job and get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
But then the boyfriend breaks up. He gets the master bedroom. The girlfriend's over all the time. And now, I'll invite him over, on the weekends. We'll play basketball. We'll go to lunch. And I try to talk to him. And it's like, he'll say the right things. Like he's listening to what you're saying. And he's like, oh, yeah, you're right. That's a good idea. But then nothing happens.
Well, I mean, is mom paying him rent to stay in her house?
Right.
It's almost to that point.
He and his girlfriend are the man and woman of the house, basically, because they have the master bedroom.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow.
That's
and I hear from Mike's daughter, like, I don't pry, but she just offers this information. She's like, look, my mom and she is. My brother and my mom are fighting a lot. Because I can imagine the stress over there. He's not teenagers are expensive, their car insurance, and he's not contributing towards that. We don't ask the kids to pay rent or anything like that, but we do expect them to do their own laundry, help with your car insurance, that kind of stuff. Take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's not happening. So I can understand why she's getting frustrated.
And then when I talk to her about it, it's like, look, give him some ultimatums. Say, hey, look, I need help with the mortgage, with the rent. You need to get a job, or you're going to have to go live with your girlfriend's parents. And her response is, well, I don't want to kick him when he's down. It's like, but he's never going to be up because you don't do anything to try to motivate him. So
pull him up and then kick him.
Yeah. So it's just never going to change that way. He's going to have to just one day wake up and just figure it out. I mean, it took me a while. I mean, I wasn't always this amazing put together person. So I'm hoping he'll figure it out soon one day. So just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
It's-
Now let's talk about the mac and cheese.
She's doing great. The mac and cheese made her amazing.
A lot of people probably have no idea what we're talking about. There was a story about your daughter eating mac and cheese in the bathtub.
Because that's the only way I could get her to eat food.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember
Dinner time. Yep.
And what's so funny is it wasn't long after that or before that another lady had an issue with mac and cheese. It wasn't in the bathroom, but it was the mac and cheese. The kid only will eat a certain kind. And if it's that kind, and it was horrible. So we had a lot of mac and cheese stories.
We need to get sponsored by Kraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? It's a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
But her problem is she does too much. She's in the gifted program at the school. She's co-captain of the cheerleading team. She works almost every night and all weekend long. Yeah. And she was working until like 1 a.m. and then coming home and trying to get up at 6 a.m. and go to school.
But she had to eat in the bathtub. She didn't have time.
Right.
So I finally, we finally had to sit her down. And I was like, look, if they aren't going to let you out at a decent time, you just got to quit. Yeah. I don't, get a job just on the weekend.
No, I refuse to quit.
Yeah. So she finally talked to them. So now during the week at 11:30, she's out. So she's usually home by like 11:35. She just works down the street. Mm-hmm. And she gets some sleep. But on the weekend, she'll be there till 1 a.m.
And she's been ambitious like that since she was little. When she was 14 years old, because she had planned out, she had friends that worked at Sonic. She had figured out, okay, 14 years old, you can work at Sonic. And she had brought this up to us and we're like, well, we have to coordinate who's going to drive you there, all that kind of stuff. And she's like, no, I've got to figure it out. She had a plan for the whole situation. She had, because kids, when they're young, they're nervous to go and interview for jobs and talk to adults and stuff like that.
Especially kids nowadays.
She got the phone number of the manager from her friend, texted the manager, set up these interviews by herself. Like she's crazy ambitious.
And went there the first time, got turned down. Then they changed managers. She called the new manager and went back again and got the job.
Wow. She's persistent. That's how she got to eat mac and cheese in the bathtub.
Yeah, she is.
Her persistence.
Yes.
And it's hard to discipline her too, because she just throws it back into your face how great she is.
We really can't argue with her because she's got a plan about her, whatever she wants to do. She, even when she comes and asks if she can do whatever thing, she's got it all figured out, how she's going to get there, what time she's going to get back. Like she'll explain the whole scenario.
And just like, Michael, she takes advantage of it a little bit too. She'll want to drive places to like her friends go to the beach. And I don't want her taking her car too far away because if there's a problem, if there's an accident and she's stuck, I don't want to have to drive 2 hours to try to figure out how to get her car back to the town.
Right.
And, I remember one time she was like, well, I want to drive to St. Augustine, which is about almost 2 hours away from here to the beach. And I said, well, you can't drive. I said, I don't care if you go with your friends, but you're not taking your car. Well, I'll just wait till it's my mom's weekend and go. I'm like, it's still my car. Yeah. You pay us a little bit for the car, but it's in our name. I don't want you taking it to St. Augustine. So then again, it's just a fight. So now we let her go to Daytona, which is about an hour away. And I don't even love that, but it's like I feel like I have to give her some leeway because, again, she's responsible and she does what she's supposed to do.
Now, you bring up something interesting about I'll just wait till mom's weekend and do it because she'll let me.
Mm-hmm.
We hear that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And a car is a big issue because it's like, okay, is the car theirs or is the car theirs when they're with you?
Right.
Do you control how the car is used and all that stuff, even when she's at mom's? And I remember my son asking me something one time, and I thought to myself, I was a bad kid, and I probably wouldn't have asked me. I would have waited till my dad's weekend and just done it.
Right.
And he could have easily done that because there was a chance I was going to say no. And so with your daughter and everything, how do you handle that?
Well, we have OnStar on her phone. Mm. And because she has a Ford, I have a Ford. So we have the Ford Connect app. So I can see where she is. So she can't do anything or go anywhere without me knowing where she is. So we kind of told her, said, look, the whole point of this car, and we got her a little nicer car, was to get her through college. So trying to explain to her, look, we don't want this thing breaking down or having problems or getting too many miles because we don't want you having car payments when you go through college. Mm-hmm. So we paid her car off. We didn't tell her. So she pays us car, a couple $100 for the payment and a little bit for insurance, and we just put it aside for her.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't know that.
Right.
So, our plan is when she turns 18, to give her the car and to kind of sign it over to her, but trying to, explain to her, hey, we want the car to last. It's just, cars are meant to be driven and, things like that. It's like, that is true. But again, you got to look big picture. She's not a big picture person. She's more like,
she's 17.
I need to make memories now and have fun with my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she does so much right, but she's still a 17-year-old kid.
Right.
So she's still got that brain.
Right.
And she listens relatively good. Like she's not tried to sneak the car out and go to those places where when we say no, she'll complain and whine and stuff like that. But she listens and does it.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I had a straight drive in high school and college, because I could push it down the driveway and then pop the clutch and then go.
Yeah, I remember those kind of cars.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you'd like to share with us?
Nope, not at all.
Yeah.
For not getting me on that one.
Yell it on yourself. So, what about your daughter? Does she stay? How often does she stay with you?
Now she's with us honestly, she's kind of
50.
It's like 50-50, but she kind of comes and goes.
Yeah.
There'll be some nights where she's supposed to be at her mom's, so she'll just stay over here because it's just easier. It's a little more relaxing. Over there's dogs and cats and her brother and the girlfriend or mom. So there'll be some nights where she gets off work and she just wants to come over here. But the weekend she wants to have fun. If it's her mom's weekend, she's definitely over there. And because she can have big sleepovers there. Like she'll have like 5-6 friends stay overnight. I'm just like, yeah, two's our limit. Yeah. We like your friends, but I don't want any more than 2 of them here.
Yeah. So you're like, yeah, go to your mom's, invite 20 friends.
Right.
And like tonight, she works till 11:30. And me, I don't know what it is. Like I can't go to sleep until I know she's home.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I sit up and I wait for her. So those nights where she wasn't getting home till like 1:00, and then I have to get up to go to work the next morning.
Yeah.
We're a killer. So now she'll be home. She gets home at 11:35, 11:40, and then I can have her come in, set the alarm, and then I can go to bed. So I try to explain that to her too. She's like, "Well, let's go to sleep." It's like, you don't understand. I can't, because my fear is I'm going to wake up at 3 a.m. and you're not going to be home, and I'm going to freak out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta kind of just wait.
Yeah. And if you do go to sleep, it's that half sleep.
Yeah, it would just be horrible.
Useless.
Yeah, it's useless.
I suggested, I'm like, you can set alarm for the time she's supposed to be home and make sure that happens. But it must be apparent.
Then I wouldn't be able to go back to sleep. I would get 2 hours of sleep, wake up, let her in, and then I'd just be laying there in bed for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So, Crystal, like I said, I haven't went back and listened, but when you talked to us before, how was your relationship with the stepkids? Same, better,
Let's
worse?
see. It was always good with Lana. It was never bad with Michael. It's just, I think at that point it was fine. He hadn't gotten into his teenage stuff yet. So, it was, I would say it was calm. And it was calm for many years in the beginning. Because we always took the approach of Mike does the discipline. I'm just kind of the fun friend. So we never really had any issues. It got a little challenging when we were dealing with some of that teenage stuff, and we were kind of trapped in a house together while Mike was out working. I'm working at home. Got stepson at home, kind of not accomplishing anything. But
luckily, we've never had any kind of big conflict.
No,
those kind of fights. Like, you're not my mom. Those kind of things.
You know what? It's so much easier. I'm so thankful that, like, with both of Mike's kids, I haven't had to deal with rudeness. They're both respectful and kind. I mean, nothing's perfect, but it's so much easier to deal with things that aren't situations that aren't perfect if someone's not rude to you. So, yeah, I really feel for the people that I see in the Facebook group and listen to on your podcast that are dealing with disrespect. I've never had to deal with that. That's got to be really challenging.
And the one nice thing we don't have to deal with either. Again, my ex is not perfect, but she's never been a problem.
Yeah,
like she's never talked bad in front of us, in front of the kids, or try to, like, oh, your stepmom is terrible. She's very good about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, so, that's good.
Yeah, we've never had any problem. It was funny because when we first got together, it was always her worry.
I was always afraid of
that. It was always, I don't want to say this because it's like, and I try to tell her, I said, look, she's not like that.
Remember when we were first dating and she came to knock on the door for something, some child exchange or something, and I hid? I found a closet and went in the closet.
Yeah. Because my ex is the kind of person who would like, she'd want to like be her best
say
friend.
hi to me.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't know what this is, but I've heard these stories about biological moms. I'm just going to go hide in the corner.
No, she would want to like go out to dinner with her, and she would, if she could, she'd want to be her best friend and gossip.
And we've never had a bad interaction, but I also from the beginning I had the philosophy of the tall fences make good neighbors. So I never gave her too much information. So it's, she hasn't had anything on me or any, ammo to create problems.
And I try to tell her she's way too lazy to cause problems.
But I was never going to tempt fate.
Yeah. So we've been lucky there. We've never had that problem.
That's good. That's good. And it's really good that the stepkids, they might annoy you or aggravate you or not do what you want them to, but there is a difference when they are just blatantly standing up saying,
yeah.
Yeah. Usually those kids, they don't even respect their own parents, much less step parents.
Right.
Yeah, that's got to be hard.
Yeah. What's hard for me is like, I'll tell Lana something that she tells me to tell Lana, and Lana will just be like, well, I'm sure Crystal wouldn't mind. I'll just ask Crystal. I just ask Crystal. She won't care. I'm just like, if you only knew why I was in here talking to you.
Yeah, like sometimes, and I know that there are things that are, I know I should nacho this thing, and then there are things that are like bigger issues. Like one thing I know I should nacho that I've learned to not care about after. Well, I can't say not care about, but I've learned to nacho. Like her not cleaning up her room on a regular basis. I've heard the thing about close the door and ignore it. So I try to do that, though I don't love it. I know it's a mess in there, but there's house rules too. So Mike and I both have an agreement that, okay, we have a robot vacuum. It's on a schedule 3 days a week to vacuum the house. So we're on the same page about having Lana pick up all her stuff, make sure there's nothing on the floor so the vacuum can get in there and vacuum everything from the floor. So at least it's vacuumed and it smells good.
right?
Yeah.
She does all her schoolwork. She does everything. She just tries to test the boundaries with, like I said, I'm going to drive to, Georgia tomorrow. It's like, no, no, you're not. Little stuff. Like I said, like her room being a little sloppy, and it's maybe his clothes. Yeah. She's 17, so she's like a, Tasmanian devil, stolen clothes everywhere. And I've heard from other people with 17, 18-year-old girls that they're the worst. They're even dirtier than their sons. And it was kind of like that. My son's room was always actually very clean. And Lana's room, it's like her closet just threw up all over the place. She has the mentality where she's already saving for an apartment, and at 18, she's out.
Really?
Oh, yeah. She has a plan. She's saving $5,000. She has her most responsible friend already picked out. They're going to find an apartment together or rent a house with the third friend, and whichever is the better value. And yeah, she's already saving to move out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she knows where she wants to live because it's by the school she wants to go to. She's gonna be an RN and take the nursing program at this certain school, and she'll work part-time at Sonic to be able to pay for the bills at the apartment / house. And she's out at 18.
Wow.
Which I do admire, but I did try to talk to her too and say, hey, just to consider other possibilities. If you want to live here, one thing that she's not thinking about, she loves to go out and be social and shop and do all these things. Yeah, on her salary, if you add it up, you could probably afford an apartment if you split it up with you and your friends. But
it's going to be tight.
You're not really.
Good luck having fun. Yeah.
Yeah. If you hate fun, that's the perfect plan. But odds are you can sit in your apartment. That's pretty much it. So, and I try to say that in a nice way. Just think about this financially, add it up and stuff.
Right. And my thing is, well, your room would look nice with a 90-inch television. So 18, have a nice time. We'll visit.
He's ready for the man cave.
Yeah.
And trying to explain to her too, it's like, okay, this friend you have now, because I went through this. I moved out with my best friend, and it was great until it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because it's like you think this person, but then they get into doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, and then they're using the rent money to go do something else, and all of a sudden,
relationship. All of a sudden, they're moving out, living with somebody else.
Your roommate finds a boyfriend, and now either he's there all the time, and not paying anything, or she leaves. And now you're stuck on it by yourself. Yeah. So she's just like,
told her, the only way you can truly afford the place is if, worst case scenario, your friend bails on you, and then you can pay the rent.
But again, her attitude, that won't happen. Yeah. She's very into that. That won't happen. She'll go get gas at midnight at sketchy gas stations. So I'm like, don't do that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Oh, nothing's going to happen. I'm like, honey, well, that you can get snatched, you can get murdered.
That he actually punished her for, which she needed to be punished for. That.
I had warned her not to do it.
You guys had a conversation; she did it anyway.
Yeah, but her philosophy is, that's not going to happen. I'm like, no one wakes up in the morning and like, oh, I think I'm going to get murdered today.
Right.
Yeah.
No one thinks that's going to happen. And again, her argument is, well, somebody could break into your house and murder you too. I said, yes, but the odds of that happening compared to the sketchy gas station
At
are very
midnight,
different.
you're a girl pumping gas yourself, not paying
And it's
attention because
longer.
you're on your phone.
Yeah, it's like let's do a risk assessment here.
Yeah.
Though she did
Yeah.
she did tell me that she thought that she shouldn't do that. The only reason she did it is because her friend was out of gas and she didn't want to leave her friend alone in a dangerous place. I appreciate that, but neither one of you girls should be at that gas station that hour.
Right.
There's got to be a different solution.
You're not that far out of gas where you can't get it in the morning.
Yeah. Or we live right by where she works. Your friend can stay with us for the night and then we can get you some gas in the morning. Like, don't do that. You know, there's got to be a better way.
Well, how about fill up at half a tank so you never have to get it?
Yeah.
That's
That's what my parents always told me to do.
And that, I constantly am on her for that because I'll get alerts on my phone. It's like, oh, you've got, 30 miles till empty.
Oh my
And I try
gosh.
to yell at her. It's like, yeah. I'm like, you can't let it go that low,
Like, why? It says I've got 30 miles. I only need to go 29.
Yeah. She doesn't understand distance.
Yeah. Wow.
If she's a good kid, she just scares us. That's all.
Yeah.
Because again, her attitude is, I'm invincible.
Yeah.
Which I probably was too at 17.
You have to be, I think, as a teenager to do scary things like learn to drive. I think it's probably a lot harder when you're an adult and you try to take on things when you know I could die trying to learn how to do
Right.
this. This is why
when you have your
we do these things.
And
When
it's
we're
like,
young.
I'm not doing anything. I'm scared I'm going to die. Leave the kid
Yeah.
parentless.
That's kind of the reason why Mike's son, we tried to push him to do things when he's young because it's only going to get harder and scarier.
Right. Yeah. Learning to ride a bike at 30 is different than trying to do it at 5.
Or even like roller skating.
Remember that.
You would just look at the skates and be like, I'm not
I
even
know.
gonna try
Nice.
this.
No, we one time I took the kids. My calves hurt so bad
Yeah.
within 10 minutes.
It's like, how did I do this for hours before?
Yeah. And then, of course, it was some kind of podunk skating rink that was there when I was growing up. So you had to pay attention, make sure there wasn't trash on the floor or grooves in the thing. And
Wow.
it was fun.
Yeah, we had the bright idea we were going to ride bikes around the neighborhood. So we went out and bought these 2 fancy bikes, and then we're trying to ride it. And I'm like, have you never ridden a bike before? And she's like, well. So I'm like, are you trying to learn now? I said, this is not the time.
No, when I was a kid, I tried to learn. I fell and sprained my wrist. And after that, I'm like, I don't want to do this again. So then I retried it again in my 30s. Yeah, it's not the same. You don't have the same balance. You're just like, I could just easily fall over.
Yeah, so the bike riding did not last.
Bikes were donated.
Well,
shortly after.
same thing. We got bikes because we were going to ride too. And then we're riding. And I used to ride bikes all day around our neighborhood from, sun up to sundown and no hands going down the big hill, everything. The boom box on your shoulder. We were on that bike and a car comes past us. I thought I was going to pass out and die. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm too scared of cars. And no, not for me.
Trying to ride wheelies.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, it sounds like that y'all have got a good handle on things.
I think we do.
Yeah. Like I said, if we can, fingers crossed, get my daughter through high school. She's a senior next year. And if, hopefully she's try to do even more than she's doing now, we'll be okay. And my son, if he can just find something he's passionate about, I try to tell him, find a trade. If you don't want to go to school, go look a plumber, electrician. There are constantly people hiring saying, hey, we'll train you on the job how to do these things. Yeah, absolutely. And we live in Florida. That's like nonstop work.
Yeah.
And he just has no desire to do anything. And I'm like, no one's going to pay you to sit at home and eat chips and play video games. That's not going to happen. That's his desire.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something about the term or the phrase you just used about being passionate about something, because I have a little bit of a disagreement with that phrase. Not because you said it, but just because I hear a lot of kids say that. Like, I'm trying to find my passion, and I'm like, oh my gosh. The thing about that is most people aren't passionate about things they aren't good at. And so until you get good at something, you tend to not be passionate about it. And so you have to do something you suck at until you get good at it, and then you'll be passionate about it. So I think
you have to get over the
So
hump,
I think people are looking for that. I want to be passionate about it. I'm like, but you suck at it. You're not going to be passionate. The reason why kids are passionate about playing video games is because they're good at it.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah. I might bring that up with him. We're having lunch this weekend. But that's a good point. Just say, look, you don't know what you're not passionate about because you've never done any of these things.
Right.
I bring up the military all the time. And he'd be great for that. He's a big kid. He's 6'6", 6'7". He's in good shape, strong as an ox, but his girlfriend doesn't want him to go into the military, and his mom would be scared if he went into the military. So now he feels like he's going to let them down. And I'm like, it's your future.
Yeah.
You could tell them, look, I'm doing this now. You may not love it, but for our future, it's going to be even better.
Yeah.
There's is it Gallup Strength Finders?
Yeah. Gallup Strength Finders assessment.
So it's online, and you can do the top 5 or the top 50 or whatever.
Yeah, it's top 5. It's like $20, $25 to do it.
And it's really good.
It's not like it's similar to a personality assessment, but it's really looking at what your top 5 strengths are and how does that relate into like a career path.
Yeah.
For me, like my top one is maximizer. My number 1 is maximizer. And then once I realized that, I understood why I got in so much trouble in jobs, because I'm the type of person that's looking at things and go, oh, there's a better way to do that. Let me show you, which people don't appreciate when you're the new guy and you're coming in trying to point out all these ways to do things better. And they're like, no, you don't know what you're talking about, or we've always done it this way. So it really helps to even understand that, because then you can go, okay, I know where I need to speak up and where I need to not. Mm-hmm. Even though this might be my strength, it's not always the best place to focus it right now.
Yeah. And he might do it and then just, again, not even pay it. It's hard to know when he's going to actually take something seriously and do it, or just do it to pacify you. And
even if he does nothing with it, it's a
$20.
lot of information for you guys, because you're going to better understand what motivates him. You talked about, finding his passion as far as just some direction. That may help you understand that, so that you can decide how you want to kind of guide that conversation. He might find something more in a purpose than a passion. So maybe that some nonprofit type work of some sort might like better.
Be shocked, actually, if he was interested in that.
His dream job, he had an interview for Lowe's to work overnight in their warehouse, where he wouldn't have to deal with any people, wouldn't have to talk to anybody. He could just do his own thing. Yeah. That's what he really, that's his passion, to kind of be left alone.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So that's the kind of job he's looking for now. He would just maybe get to something in a warehouse where he doesn't have to deal with people.
It's about what kind of skill sets are you learning? How can you keep stacking skills? And you do that just by taking something from each job, whether you hate it or not, doesn't matter. You're still stacking some type of skill that you can use for something else later.
Yeah, he needs that, because again, he's from that generation. He went to school during COVID, so for like a whole year he didn't go to school. Yeah, and so he needs those person skills to where he learn to okay, if a customer is angry, how to deal with that. If a coworker is giving you a hard time, how to deal with that. Because now their philosophy is his girlfriend was working at Walmart and she didn't like a couple of the girls in customer service, so she quit. Yeah. And I'm like, you're not going to always like who you work with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So does your daughter know about the mac and cheese story? Does she remember?
Oh, she remembers. She had a mac and cheese button. When she ran out of mac and cheese, she'd hit a button and Amazon would send us more mac and cheese.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I don't think they have those anymore, but you'd put them in your pantry. And when you ran out of the mac and cheese, you'd hit the button and it would automatically send an order for more mac and cheese through Amazon.
Yeah. When I first met Mike, I didn't know what was happening. His daughter was eating mac and cheese in the tub. He's got a comic book wall on his bedroom. I'm like, what is going on with this guy? But
yeah, I was definitely a bachelor. I had 2 big TVs in the living room.
Were they both working, or was one broken?
No, one was for video games, one was for sports.
Okay.
And then I had like a dining room table with like one working chair.
Yeah. So you mentioned the man cave earlier. I guess when you get that man cave again, the comic walls will go back up, and the video games.
It's definitely not going to be somewhere she's going to want to hang out for probably.
That's fine. My goal really was to get an office.
She has her office.
Do what you want with your man cave.
Yeah, she has her office. Her office is like a man cave. She's like 5 computer monitors.
Nice. Yeah.
It's like just like command center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't mind y'all having man caves. We encourage them.
Yeah.
Greatly.
Well, because, there's nights where if I want to watch a sport or play a video game, now she can have the living room and I can just go hide in the former Lana's room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes for a good marriage.
Yeah.
I think.
Or this last week when the NFL draft was on and I was glued to the TV for 3 days, she really would have wished I would have had the man cave.
So what does your daughter want to be when she goes to school?
She wants to be an RN.
Okay.
Yeah, she wants to be an RN. She started with doctor, then PA. And I think
She keeps going down.
well, I think she's realized now she can go to school, she can become an RN fairly quickly, start making some money, some good money.
And you don't have to take on the responsibility and
Right.
the license and the insurance and everything of PAs.
But then if she wants to move on and do more from there, she can. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she can get it paid for probably.
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy. It was weird. One random day she came home and she's like, I think I want to be a teacher. And we're like, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But, just remember that the salary is going to be a little different than if you were an RN. And she's like, oh, okay. Then 3 days later, she's like, no.
Well, she had brought
No
up,
more teacher.
she likes these fancy cars. She's like, oh, I want to drive a Jeep or a Bronco. Those are not cheap cars. I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, but this is probably why you want to think about whether or not you want to be a teacher, because most teachers are driving Broncos and
Take her through the school parking lot where the teachers park.
Exactly.
Yeah,
The 1942 Honda still sitting there.
Yeah, that was in and out of her mind. She's had the nurse thing for a couple of years now.
Yeah, she's very money driven. So we just had to remind her, is that, think about the salary. Is that really what you want?
I told her, look, that's noble. If you want to be a teacher, that's fine. We'll support you no matter what. Just know there's going to be a little bit of a salary discrepancy. And that didn't last long.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if she was a professor.
Oh, yeah.
The salary still,
And it takes a long time to get to that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Don't have insurance and things like that. They work part-time. So I don't know.
Mhm. Well, we thank y'all so much for being a guest again.
Well, thank you guys for having us back on. Yeah, we like I said, I know you guys have helped her quite a bit, with everything.
Thank you for all you do, all your podcasts. I listen to them. I appreciate them. And I think a lot of people learn from them. So thank you so much.
Good. Thank you. We appreciate that. And we'll have to have you back on.
Okay.
And you've got to send me your stepdaughter's address when she graduates high school so I can send her some matching
Oh, we
toys.
will. Okay, deal.
I'm serious.
We will. Yeah.
I'm going to send her a big old box.
We will.
Oh boy.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. And remember that life is good.
And it really is when you nacho.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nacho Kids Podcast. Find us online at nachokids.com. Until next time, remember, life is good when you nacho.